Support everything we do at MWP News by visiting ko-fi.com/MWP News. Every donation helps us stay independent. For breaking entertainment news, reviews, and more, check out MWPnews.com. If you love games, head over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@MWPNewsGaming for reviews and gameplay. Links for all of this will be in the show notes, as well as links to the other podcasts. Thank you for your continued support.
Good morning. Well, probably evening by the time it goes up. And welcome to 30-Minute Reviews. I am Adam. Belated episode. I was going to watch K-pop Demon Hunters. And then I turned my car on today, and the radio was kind of berating me for not doing that, because the song from that, one of the two songs, I think there's three songs now that are charting, was playing on the local pop station. And I was like, alright, fuck, I'll watch the fucking movie. But not today. Today what we're here to talk about is the news that broke over the weekend that Activision has signed a deal with Paramount, and they will be making a Call of Duty movie. If this sounds familiar to you, it's because 10 years ago, on this very show, when we started it, one of the first stories we talked about, this would have had to have been August of 2015. We talked about what a stupid fucking idea this is. And let me explain, because my thoughts have not changed in the last decade. And look, I know I've been wrong before. There are plenty of things I've been wrong about before. I'm the guy who said Fortnite seems stupid, no one's gonna like Fortnite, who's gonna play Fortnite? And I was wrong. You know, I have been wrong before. We adamantly went on this show and declared that Benicio del Toro in The Last Jedi was going to be playing Boba Fett's son, and, you know, we were wrong about that. Here we are now, though, and I think that, you know, with 10 years of doing this now, I think we can adequately say I've gotten better at this. And I think I was right the first time. The issue with a Call of Duty movie, the episode actually might be on the feed, I'm not 100% certain. We lost a bunch of episodes. But the issue with a Call of Duty movie is that it inherently misunderstands what people like about Call of Duty. Like, and the role of narrative within Call of Duty. Because, like, the Minecraft movie, I can at least understand the logic of. Like, Minecraft is a movie about being in an open world, doing whatever you want, so, like, if the movie can kind of capture that, okay, I can kind of get it. I understand what the thought process there is. But Call of Duty is more about the community aspect. Call of Duty is less a narrative-driven experience for the vast majority of players, and more almost like a club, like or like a juice bar, maybe, because it's for kids. But the idea is, sorry, something stuck in my throat. The idea is Call of Duty is about playing games with your friends and going through and, you know, mowing down zombies, mowing down the bad guy, whoever the bad guy is, be it your friend, be it, you know, the other team, whatever. I haven't played Call of Duty since World at War on the Wii, in an online capacity. I think the last Call of Duty game I played was the remake of Modern Warfare, which I pre-ordered Advanced Warfare, the deluxe edition, specifically to get that, because they said they were never going to release the Modern Warfare remake standalone, and then they released the Modern Warfare remake standalone. So I'm like, that's it, not playing Call of Duty anymore, and I've stood by that. You got that $80 out of me? That's the last $80 you're getting. So all of this, the point is, like, this seems to misunderstand the point of Call of Duty, because it's like, who is going in to Call of Duty for the narrative? Who's going in to play the new Black Ops game for the narrative. It's just the newest iteration of the platform. Like, this isn't something like Grand Theft Auto. This isn't something like, The Last of Us even, or Fallout, or something like that. Like, I wouldn't even say that, like, it's a role-playing game. I would say it's an action game. You're there, you're killing shit, you're moving through the level. It's a war simulator. So, if narrative isn't the issue, then what are we doing here? And what you end up with is this question of, like, is this just another war movie? And how do we differentiate this from the fucking ton of other war movies that come out? Like, what's his name? The guy who did Suicide Squad puts out one of these a year with Jason Statham. Like, is that what this is? Like, if that's what we're doing here, then I'm just kind of a little bit confused. It's like, if all this is just an avenue to throw the Call of Duty name on something, then what are we doing? The other more, I think, existential question with this is, are studios learning the wrong lesson from the last few years? Because we have seen 2, maybe 3 examples of internet culture. Let's say maybe 4, definitely 3, maybe 4 examples of internet culture driving box office. There was, first and foremost, Gentle Minions, which was the meme where a bunch of Gen Z kids went in suits and ties and dressed up like to the fucking like nines to go see Minions. The joke being, Minions is a shitty movie. And this is Minions 3. Minions is a shitty movie. So, we're going to go and see it in the suit and tie. It's caked in the level of irony. Then you have, the second one would be a Minecraft movie, which, again, I will say, the fact that it's a Minecraft movie, not the Minecraft movie, feels like they are, feels like they are, threatening us more than anything. And that one was one that made a ton of money, and not unsubstantial part of that was the meme of it all. The chicken jockey people freaking out in the theaters whenever they name dropped anything from the game, like the trashing of the theater, people bringing chickens into the theater. It's like all of that behavior was part of the experience for that movie. And then there was Barbenheimer, which, the rising tide lifts all ships kind of thing, where Barbie and Oppenheimer opened on the same day, so people decided to do it as a doubleheader because of the juxtaposition of this dark, character-driven biopic about Oppenheimer, directed by Christopher Nolan, and then juxtapose that with Barbie, which is lighter and all that. It's these 2 movies that are polar opposites, but also both really good. And I think the thing that we need to address with this is, like, the fourth one that, like, kind of sort of was Sony putting Morbius back in theaters, because a lot of people talk about Morbius on social media, which caused the movie to bomb twice, which is impressive. But the issue here is there's a broader box office trend we're seeing that I think this desire to buy Call of Duty and have Call of Duty be the new franchise they're working on is trend chasing. Okay, so what made a lot of money this year, and in recent history? Okay, well, the Mario movie did. People loved The Last of Us up until the most recent season. People love Fallout. Even Twisted Metal is getting some support. Video games are the place to be. And what do? Let's do Call of Duty. A lot of people play Call of Duty. We'll do that. It's just a misunderstanding of what it is people like about Call of Duty, where it's not the story or anything like that. It's playing with your friends. And I think the issue with this is you could end up in a situation where the movie feels kind of weird. Because, like we've talked about on Beware of Spoilers in the last few years, this idea really in the last 2 years, we've had a few movies come out where things go from, like, grounded in its own set of rules and reality to, like, it dips into the real world, and you're like, oh, this is weird now. Most recently we saw that this weekend with The Roses, this idea of you have this movie where, where, like, you have these two characters at each other's throats who are trying to ruin each other, and then at a certain point it crosses over from cartoonish to, oh, this is just like they've ruined each other now, and it's just kind of not fun anymore. And then you get to the other one, the what's it called, the other big example of this is Lisa Frankenstein, where you have the break from the cartoonish nature of the world to have real emotions, and people act like normal people, and that's kind of an odd choice. Like, I don't know why they would do that. It just kind of like, it breaks what you're doing, like it makes the whole thing feel worse. And that's kind of the issue we have with with this, is that it's like, is it meant to be cartoony? Is it meant to be more grounded and realistic? But if it's more grounded and realistic, you're going to lose out on the memeability factor, which is something they're definitely going to want, because that's what's driven you to the box office for some of these movies. And that's kind of the, issue they have to contend with. And I think that's kind of like, that's the weird place this movie's going to occupy the space of. The thing that I think is the more, what's the word I'm looking for here? The trend that I think they should be chasing is more of the auteur theory, gaining traction. Because we're seeing that a lot more. And I think that that's something that is interesting, that is something that there is a traceable lesson to be learned, but the studio just refused to learn it. Where it's like, what are some of the biggest movies of the last few years? These are all movies that are and profoundly feel like the director who made them. Like, say what you will about Zack Snyder, and there's plenty to be said about Zack Snyder. And it makes total sense that he's making a right-wing military propaganda movie as his next movie, coming off of the failure of Rebel Moon. But every movie he has made, with the exception of Justice League, is profoundly his movie, and he has his fan base, and they show up for him to an extent. Maybe the fan base isn't quite as big as I like to think they are. Denis Villeneuve, like, he's in demand. He does, he does good work when he shows up. We have Dune Part 3 shooting right now, and that's coming out next year. The big announcement, besides Robert Downey Jr. coming back for Doomsday and Secret Wars, was the Russo brothers coming back to direct. Barbie and Oppenheimer, the fact that worked is because both movies were good, and both of which were the direct vision of their directors, Greta Gerwig and Christopher Nolan. Like, Christopher Nolan sold out a movie a year before it comes out. Like, he sold out 35mm screenings for The Odyssey. The movie doesn't come out for a full year from when the tickets went on sale. Yet, we're not looking at this as like, let's see if we can nurture directors and find directors that people glom onto and be like, okay, well, we can trust this person to deliver a good product whenever they show up. Like, and that's the kind of thing that is the lesson to be learned from the last few years. Like, a Minecraft movie would have made as much money no matter who they had in the director's share. Madam Web would have made as much money no matter who they had in the director's share. The lesson to be learned was, find a good director who has a vision for your franchise. Let them take it where they want, and then when they have a finished product, don't get in their way. And what we've seen is, like, Marvel learned that lesson with James Gunn. And then I would be very interested to know how much of Eternals was actually exactly, was meddled with. Because I think the thing with Eternals is that it's like, that is profoundly Chloe Zhao's movie. Like, Thor Love and Thunder, profoundly Taika Waititi's movie. And I think that if you weren't paying as much, like, if the movie didn't cost $200 million, it would have done better. But let the directors do their job. That's what you should be doing. And sitting here and being like, oh, well, we're going to get Call of Duty because people are going to come to see Call of Duty in the theater. It's like, yeah, that'll happen once. Maybe twice. But the issue is you're banking on these movies to continue to perform. As we've seen with Marvel Studios. these big franchises can become too big to succeed. And is that what we're going to end up doing with Call of Duty as a movie franchise? And if that's the case, how long is this sustainable for? And I don't know that it is. Especially in a situation where it's like, clearly the decision here comes from trying to bank on the success that has already come for other studios. Like, that is clear. Clear as day to me. The problem is, I don't know that will work with Call of Duty as a franchise, and then if it does work with Call of Duty as a franchise, like, how long can you do that? That's the big thing with these meme movies. We've yet to see a second one come out and recapture that. We have yet to see Minions 4. Will Gentle Minions happen again? We have yet to see, like, a second Barbenheimer happen. Like, we may have that in 2026 if Warner Bros. Doesn't move Dune. I've seen people call it, because December 17th, or that whatever day it is that weekend that the movies come out, I've seen people refer to it as Doomsday, because it's Avengers Doomsday and Doom Part 3 coming out the same day. And look, if we're going to get, maybe that'll work. Maybe that'll work. The inherent issue with trying to bank on internet culture is that it is inherently seeped in a counterculture aspect. Like, the idea that, like, the internet is going to, the meme of a movie is going to get you over the finish line to make the movie incredibly successful to a degree that, no one had any idea it was going to do that, is something where you're like, well, how does this work? Like, you can't create that. You can try to create the circumstances where it will happen, but you can't force it. Because inherently, the counterculture of it, like, look at Gentle Minions. Gentle Minions was steeped in the irony that, like, this movie is shitty. Or this movie is not great. I never saw Rise of Gru, so I can't say definitively that it's good or bad. Since it's another Minions movie, I would assume it's probably, like, fine if you're a toddler, but, like, if you are Gen Z going to see this movie, it's probably not something that's going to have a lot for you. Let's just put it that way. And therein lies kind of the issue with this. Like, okay, so it is clearly this movie is like, that whole thing is like the counterculture aspect of it. It is them saying, hey, we don't want to, we're seeing this movie dressed up like this because it's ridiculous to see this movie dressed up like this. It's not worth this level of effort. So, like, the idea that, like, it's going to be, I think we're just kind of stuck. Because there's buses now. Fuck me. What an asshole. The idea of Barbenheimer is we're taking these two movies the studios decided to put out on the same day, and we're going to see them both back to back because they're both kind of long, and they are, and tonally it is completely different from one another. Like, it's that kind of thing. Morbius was bad, so they made jokes about how great it was, and then they put it back in theaters. And what was the third one? The other one that definitely happened, I don't remember. Off the top of my head, Barbenheimer, Gentle Minions. Oh, and look, I'm probably wrong. I'm probably out of touch, but I would hope that a good amount of the cheering and all of that we got from, you know, a Minecraft movie is meant to be ironic. It's another. It's Gen Z shot at millennials, because like one of the things that happened back in in 2019 were the videos from the theaters in Avengers Endgame during the portal scene with everyone cheering. So it's an over-the-top reaction mocking that. But it's like, at the same time, how many times can you replicate this? How many times can this be replicated to the point that it's like, this is a worthwhile endeavor? And then when the second one comes out, can you look at the box office? Is there a way for them to analytically look at the box office without the meme factor to be like, is it worth doing a sequel? And then what happens when they start putting money into these things and they just don't work? Because like that's the thing, is that it's like, the movies that made a lot of money this year were movies that kind of just banked on nostalgia. Like, we made a lot of money with Superman, which is this optimistic looking Superman. Felt very reminiscent of the movie that we saw, you know, well, not me, I wasn't born yet, but in 1978. Like, you know, the whole, what's it called? What was the other one? Lilo and Stitch, which is just a remake of Lilo and Stitch. How to Train Your Dragon, which is just a remake of How to Train Your Dragon. These are movies that, you know, bank on nostalgia, and it's just kind of like, we're doing our, like, we're gonna do our thing, and that will get us money. And I feel like that's a safer bet. But eventually, like, the article Disney had about trying to reclaim Gen Z boys, I don't know if you necessarily need to do that through IP. I think that, like, the issue is, it's like, because you've tried, you've had movies with male leads and people haven't gone to them and all of that, and I think that there's a wider conversation to be had about, you know, why are Gen Z boys not going to see movies? Because they're being told online the movie's bad before the movie comes out, so that's the issue you have to counteract, not the other thing. They're being sold a bill of goods, and I know this is, you know, applied to white Gen Z boys, where it's like, that's the thing, is that, like, we have this, we've talked about it before, the machine on YouTube that will tell you a movie's bad before the movies come out through the right combination of buzzwords, and then they just won't go see it. And then it's like, you end up with things like Thunderbolts coming out, and it's like, oh wait, Thunderbolts is actually good? Like, yeah, Thunderbolts is actually good. Surprise, surprise. But I digress. We'll wrap up there for today on this rambly episode of 30-Minute Reviews. Next week we will do K-pop Demon Hunters. I promise. We will do K-pop Demon Hunters next week. And until our next episode, have a great rest of your week.